Hey, what's up, you guys? We just made 1,000 YouTube subscribers, so I'm so excited. Thank you for being here and for subscribing and being part of the Muscle Mommies family. I'm gonna start using that more and more. Y'all are my muscle mommies. We're here to learn and grow together. And today, our video is a glute workout. You knew I was gonna say that, but this is for those of you who are quad dominant and you struggle to feel exercises in your glutes. So we'll talk about exercise selection and execution so that you really can grow those glutes. So if you haven't already subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments. Who is a quad dominant girly like me? It took me a lot of trial and error to feel all of these exercises in my glutes. You know, in a lot of my videos, I talk about exercise selection, and that is like one of the biggest things in making sure that you're going to grow your glutes and maybe not your thighs. So check out some of those other videos. It's basically quickly, you want to do a hip thrust or a bridge movement. You can include a squat movement. That is going to work the entire leg musculature. You want to do a hinge movement and then also a hip abduction and external rotation movement. So that's 4 categories for a great glute workout. You do not even need to do more than that. So now coming to execution, you see me doing this hip thrust. Look at my form. My upper body is staying crunched. So my head is always looking down and my ribs are always knitting down. So from there, I can get the biggest pelvic motion possible. And you feel it even more if you can do this. Dig your heels in and pull your toes up. That's gonna draw the weight, the resistance posteriorly all the way through to your glutes. So try that out. Try thinking of drawing your heels back towards you at the top and tilting the tailbone towards your face at the top. And make sure your feet aren't too close to you. If your feet are too close, you also may feel this exercise in your quads. Moving on to your hinge. So I'm doing 2 hinges today. This is the first one. It's a B stance RDL. And one of the biggest game changers for this is to think of the movement as a horizontal movement, like forward and backward, instead of a vertical movement up and down. So lead with the hips, break at your hips, go as deep as you can, and you can also break at the knee. My knee stays over my heel, but I'm bending my knee and I'm pushing my pelvis back. You can almost like think of going into a cow belly in yoga to get that long tailbone, but you want to stay supported in your core and keep your ribs knitting down to support the spine. But I think that is like one of the best tips, is to think of it as a horizontal movement. So let me know if that helps for the split stance RDL. You can use it for any version of an RDL or a deadlift. That was a super hard movement to learn. So take your time in setting it up. I always am intentional when I'm setting up an exercise. You can see I am lifting here in my socks. I feel the ground more. I can feel what's going on from my foot all the way up my body. So I ground all 3 corners of my feet. I'm going, okay, let's keep my knee pushing out. Let's make sure that I'm hinging as deep as I possibly can in my hips. So you do have to have good mobility for this. I'm making sure my core is staying compact and sturdy, and my lats. One thing is posture. If you're rounding your spine, you are not going to get the most out of this exercise, and it might not feel that great on your back. So go through that checklist. Make sure you're feeling these movements in your glutes and rest in between. You saw how I rested between sides. I often rest 30 to 60 seconds between sides so I can get the most out of the lift and progress it. So this is another hinge movement. It's on the back extension machine, but this is how we make it glute dominant. Several things. Start setting up at the feet. Make sure the toes are turning out, and the force, we want to go up the back of the leg all the way up to the glutes. So think of pushing the back of your legs into those back pads, like the ankle pads. Then you don't need to stay rounded the entire time, but I do kind of like tuck and round at the top. So I think of like tucking my pelvis into the top pad, squeezing my butt to lead the movement, squeezing all the way up. I get that little bit of a dead stop, and make sure you're hinging from your pelvis. Sometimes people will like hinge from their back, like mid back. You want the movement to come from the pelvis to lumbar spine connection. And then to make it even harder, this really gets upper glutes, I'm just doing these 12 without weight. I did 12 little pulses, and that is just one way to take this exercise to the next level. Like, do as many as you can with weight. Take the weight off, get that good mind muscle connection, and try doing little pulses at the top. And let me know if that helps for that machine specifically. Then finally, I have my hip abduction external rotation movement. When you lean forward on this machine, the gluteator, or like your hip abduction machine, you're going to get upper glute as well as those abductors like your glute medius and glute min. So you get a lot of upper butt, side butt development. So that's why you want to make sure you're doing one of these movements. You can also do like a cable external rotation, but to make sure you feel this in your glutes, you want to not move your entire body. So many people end up like swaying their torso, like moving their whole entire body just to push their legs out. No, you want to stay upright. You want to have a sturdy torso, and that goes for really any exercise to isolate. And you just imagine what's doing the work. Imagine my thighs pushing into the pads and my outer glutes doing that work. The more you think about it, the more that you're mindful, you will learn how to feel these exercises in your glutes. So try applying these tips. Let me know if they're helpful, progress them in your workouts, and I'll see you next time.